Michael Jackson was more than just a singer. He was a global phenomenon. People all over the world knew his name, they knew his music, they knew his incredible dance moves. He earned a special title that no one else could claim. He was called the King of Pop. This name was not just a clever nickname, it was a title he truly deserved. Michael worked hard his entire life to earn it. His journey started when he was just a little boy. It took him to heights that few artists ever reach. He created a new kind of stardom. He changed the music industry forever. The title King of Pop was famously given to him by his close friend Elizabeth Taylor. She announced it at an awards show and the name stuck. It was perfect. Michael ruled the world of popular music for decades. His influence went far beyond the charts. He broke down barriers for black artists. He showed everyone what was possible with creativity and a powerful vision. He wanted to unite people through his music. He wanted to bring joy to the world. And for a very long time he did just that. His crown was built on hit records, spectacular shows, and a deep connection with his millions of fans. His story is one of incredible talent and ambition. It is a story of a young boy who dreamed big. He had a gift that was clear to everyone who saw him perform. Even as a child, he had the stage presence of a seasoned star. He could sing with so much soul and emotion. He could move in ways that seemed to defy gravity. This raw talent was the foundation of his entire career. It was the spark that ignited a fire that would burn brightly for many, many years. Michael dedicated his whole life to his art, always pushing himself to be better and to create something new and exciting for his audience. Understanding Michael Jackson means looking at the whole picture. It means seeing the bright light of his genius. It also means seeing the shadows of his struggles. His life was filled with amazing highs and difficult lows. He was one of the most famous people on the planet. But he was also one of the most mysterious. He lived a life that was very public, yet he remained very private. The journey of the King of Pop is a complex story. It is a story about music, fame, and the price of being a legend. It is a story that continues to fascinate people long after he left the stage for the final time. The story of Michael Jackson begins in a small house in Gary, Indiana. He was born into a large family with 9 brothers and sisters. His father, Joseph Jackson, saw talent in his children. He was a very strict man. He worked them hard. He started a musical group with his older sons, Jackie, Tito, and Jermaine. Soon, younger brothers Marlon and Michael joined too. They became the Jackson 5. Michael was the youngest member, but it was clear from the very beginning that he was special. He had a powerful voice and an incredible stage presence. He was a natural performer, even at such a young age. Joseph Jackson pushed the boys to practice constantly. They spent hours and hours rehearsing their songs and dance routines. Their hard work started to pay off. They began winning local talent shows. People were amazed by this group of talented brothers. They were especially amazed by the little boy in the front, Michael. He sang with the emotion of a grown man. He moved with a confidence that was beyond his years. The Jackson 5 soon caught the attention of Motown Records, a famous record label. This was their big break. It was the moment that would take them from Gary, Indiana, to the entire world. Signing with Motown in 1969 was a huge turning point. The label's founder, Berry Gordy, knew they had something special. He helped shape their image and their sound. Their first 4 singles all went to #1 on the charts. Songs like I Want You Back, ABC, and The Love You Save became instant hits. The world fell in love with the Jackson 5. They were energetic, fun, and incredibly talented. Michael, the lead singer, became a child superstar. He was the heart of the group. His innocent charm and powerful voice captured the hearts of millions of fans around the globe. The success of the Jackson 5 was astronomical. They had their own television cartoon show. They were on the cover of magazines. They toured all over the world, playing for huge crowds of screaming fans. For Michael, this was a strange childhood. He spent his days in recording studios or on stage. He did not have the normal life of a kid his age. This early fame had a big impact on him. It shaped the person he would become. It was the foundation of his incredible career, but it also came with a heavy price. The little boy from Gary was now a global star, and his life would never be the same again. As the 1970s came to an end, Michael Jackson was growing up. He was no longer the little kid from the Jackson 5. He was a young man with his own ideas about music. He wanted to create something new and different. He wanted to prove that he could be a star on his own. In 1979 he released his first major solo album as an adult. It was called Off the Wall. This album was a declaration of his independence. It was a bold statement from an artist ready to take control of his destiny. He worked with the legendary producer Quincy Jones to create a sound that was fresh, exciting, and completely his own. Off the Wall was a massive success. It was a brilliant mix of disco, R&B, and pop music. The album produced huge hit singles like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. In these songs, you could hear Michael's new, more mature voice. He introduced his signature vocal hiccups and falsetto. The music was joyful and full of energy. It made you want to dance. The album sold millions of copies around the world. It showed everyone that Michael Jackson was not just the lead singer of a family group. He was a powerful creative force in his own right. He had arrived as a true solo superstar. This album was more than just a collection of great songs. It was a turning point for pop music. Michael and Quincy Jones created a sound that was smooth and sophisticated. They used real instruments and complex arrangements. The quality of the production was incredible. Off the Wall broke down barriers. It brought black music to a wider, more mainstream audience. At the time, disco was starting to fade, but Michael gave it a new life. He blended it with other styles to create something timeless. This album laid the groundwork for everything that was to come. It was the first step toward his ultimate goal, becoming the biggest star in the world. Even with all its success, Michael felt Off the Wall was overlooked. He was disappointed that it didn't win the Grammy Award for Record of the Year. This disappointment fueled his ambition. He became more determined than ever. He wanted his next album to be even bigger and better. He wanted to create something that no one could ignore. The success of Off the Wall gave him the confidence he needed. It proved that his musical instincts were right. He was now ready to take on an even bigger challenge. He was ready to make an album that would not just top the charts, but change music history forever. After the success of Off the Wall, Michael Jackson was determined to reach even greater heights. He went back into the studio with producer Quincy Jones with a clear mission. He wanted to create the biggest-selling album of all time. He wanted every song to be a hit. In 1982, he released Thriller. The album was more than just a success, it was a cultural earthquake. It completely changed the music industry. It redefined what a pop album could be. Thriller was a masterpiece of pop, rock, and soul music. It had something for everyone. From the catchy pop of Billie Jean to the rock edge of Beat It, the album was a stunning display of Michael's talent. Thriller broke records all over the world. It became and still is the best-selling album in history. It spent an incredible 37 weeks at #1 on the charts. It won a record-breaking 8 Grammy Awards in a single night. The album produced 7 top 10 singles, which was unheard of at the time. Songs like Billie Jean, Beat It, and the title track Thriller became global anthems. The success was on a scale that had never been seen before. Michael Jackson was no longer just a superstar, he was a global icon, the most famous person on the planet. Thriller cemented his legacy and earned him the undisputed title of the King of Pop. A huge part of the album's success was its groundbreaking music videos. Michael saw music videos not just as promotional tools but as short films. The video for Billie Jean was a major event. It was one of the first videos by a black artist to be played in heavy rotation on MTV. This broke down racial barriers on the new and powerful music channel. Then came the video for Beat It, which featured real-life rival gang members dancing together. But it was the 14-minute-long Thriller video that changed everything. Directed by filmmaker John Landis, it was a cinematic horror masterpiece. It became a global phenomenon and set a new standard for music videos forever. The impact of Thriller is hard to overstate. It transformed Michael Jackson into a cultural icon of the 1980s. The album's success forced the music industry to recognize the power of black artists. It proved that pop music could be ambitious, artistic, and commercially successful at the same time. The album's influence can still be heard in music today. It set a new benchmark for production, songwriting, and visual storytelling. Thriller was not just an album, it was a moment in time. It was the moment Michael Jackson conquered the world and changed the face of popular culture forever. It was the pinnacle of his career and a defining moment for a generation. Alright folks, let's dive into section 5. The man in the mirror fashion, dance, and spectacle. You know, Michael Jackson's influence, it went far beyond just his music. He was, without a doubt, a master of visuals and performance. He really understood the power of image, didn't he? I mean, his fashion choices became iconic, like, almost instantly. You see, Michael created a look that was recognizable all over the world. The single white glove, those sparkling socks, the black fedora, and of course, those military-style jackets, they were all part of his signature style. And well, these weren't just clothes, they were part of the character he created. When he put on that red leather jacket from Thriller, or slipped on the sequined glove, he was, in essence, transforming into a larger-than-life figure. His style was unique and theatrical, and it influenced fashion designers and fans for decades to come, no doubt about it. And let's not forget about his dancing, which was just as revolutionary as his music. Michael was, quite frankly, one of the greatest dancers the world has ever seen. He combined moves from classic stars like Fred Astaire and James Brown with his own incredible innovations. He perfected moves like the robot and the spin, then oh boy, during a performance of Billie Jean in 1983, he unveiled his most famous move, the moonwalk. The audience, well, they just went wild. It looked like he was magically gliding backward across the stage. The moonwalk became his signature dance move, and people all over the world tried to copy it. His dancing was a key part of his storytelling, expressing the emotion of his songs through movement. Michael's live shows were legendary spectacles, no doubt. He wasn't just giving a concert, he was putting on an event. He used elaborate stage sets, pyrotechnics, and even magic tricks. He wanted to create a fantasy world for his audience. His tours, like the Bad Tour and the Dangerous Tour, were massive productions that traveled the globe. He paid attention to every single detail, from the lighting to the costumes to the choreography. He wanted every show to be, well, perfect. He raised the bar for what a pop concert could be, that's for sure. He influenced a whole generation of artists to think bigger and create more theatrical and immersive live experiences for their fans. Through his fashion, dance, and stagecraft, Michael Jackson created a complete artistic vision. He understood that being a pop star was about more than just singing songs. It was about creating a myth. It was about giving the audience something unforgettable. He was a true showman, a master of spectacle. Every music video, every television appearance, and every concert was a carefully planned performance. He controlled his image completely. This dedication to visual art, well, it's a huge part of his legacy. He taught the world that a pop star could also be a true artist, using every tool available to create magic and wonder. Michael Jackson's catalog of songs is filled with timeless classics that defined an era. His music often carried powerful messages. Songs like Heal the World and Earth Song spoke of his desire for a better planet. He used his platform to sing about peace, love, and environmental issues. Man in the Mirror was a call for personal change and responsibility. It urged listeners to look at themselves and make a difference. These songs showed a different side of Michael, a more serious and thoughtful artist. He believed in the power of music to inspire people and bring about positive change in the world. Of course, he was also the master of the pop anthem. Songs like Wanna Be Startin' Something and Black or White were full of infectious energy. Black or White was a powerful statement against racism, with a music video that featured groundbreaking visual effects. Smooth Criminal was a cinematic masterpiece, a story set to music with an unforgettable dance routine and a gravity-defying lean. These songs were not just popular, they were cultural events. Each new single and video was eagerly anticipated by the entire world. Michael was constantly pushing the boundaries of what a pop song could be, blending rock, R&B, and dance music into his own unique sound. His live performances are the stuff of legend. One of the most famous was his performance at the Motown 25 television special in 1983. It was here that he performed Billie Jean live for the first time as a solo artist. Dressed in his iconic black fedora and single-sequined glove, he mesmerized the audience. And then he did the moonwalk for the first time in public. The crowd erupted. In that single performance, he cemented his status as a solo superstar. Another legendary performance was his Super Bowl halftime show in 1993. He stood silently on stage for almost 2 minutes, building incredible tension before launching into a medley of his greatest hits. It changed the Super Bowl halftime show forever. These songs and performances are etched into our collective memory. They are the reason he is called the King of Pop. Michael Jackson had an incredible ability to create moments that everyone talked about. His music was the soundtrack for a generation. His performances set a standard that few have ever been able to match. He was not just singing songs, he was creating experiences. Whether it was on the radio, on television, or on a stadium stage, Michael knew how to capture the world's attention. His most famous works are more than just entertainment. They are iconic pieces of 20th century pop culture, that continue to inspire and amaze us. Being the most famous person in the world came with enormous pressure. Michael Jackson lived his life under a microscope. The media followed his every move. As his fame grew, his life became more and more unusual. He built a huge ranch called Neverland. It had a zoo and an amusement park. He said he built it because he never had a real childhood, but to the outside world it seemed very strange. The media began to portray him as an eccentric and weird figure. They gave him the cruel nickname Wacko Jacko. This constant public scrutiny was very difficult for him to handle. The first major controversy of his career came in 1993. He was accused of child abuse. The case was settled out of court, and no criminal charges were filed. But the accusation was incredibly damaging to his reputation. It changed the way many people saw him. The media coverage was intense and often negative. Michael maintained his innocence his entire life. He said the accusations were about money. This period was a very dark time for him. It marked a turning point in his life and career. The image of the beloved superstar was now tainted by suspicion and scandal, something he would struggle with for the rest of his life. In the years that followed, Michael became more and more reclusive. He seemed to retreat from the world. He was still making music, but his albums did not have the same massive success as Thriller. His public appearances became less frequent. When he was seen, his changing appearance became a major topic of discussion. He had many plastic surgeries which dramatically altered his face. The public and the media were fascinated and often critical of his transformation. He was a very private person, but his physical changes were on public display for everyone to judge. This only added to the perception that he was living a strange and isolated life. A second, more serious set of child abuse allegations arose in 2003. This time, it led to a long and highly publicized criminal trial in 2005. The trial was a global media circus. Every detail of his private life was examined in court and reported around the world. In the end, Michael Jackson was found not guilty on all charges. He was acquitted and cleared of any wrongdoing. But the trial took a huge toll on him, both emotionally and physically. Even though he was legally innocent, the damage to his public image was immense. The King of Pop had faced his greatest challenge, and it left deep and lasting scars. Throughout his adult life, Michael Jackson struggled with serious health issues. These problems were often connected to the immense pressures of his fame. He suffered from a skin condition called vitiligo. This disease causes the skin to lose its pigment, resulting in white patches. This is why his skin tone changed so dramatically over the years. He also had lupus, another autoimmune disease. He used makeup to even out his skin tone, but many people in the public and media did not believe him. They accused him of wanting to be white, which he always denied. These health problems were a private struggle that he had to deal with in the public eye. He also suffered from severe pain for many years. He was badly burned during the filming of a Pepsi commercial in 1984. A pyrotechnic effect went wrong, and his hair and scalp were set on fire. This accident left him with serious burns and chronic pain. He had to undergo several surgeries to treat his scalp. It is believed that this is when he began using powerful prescription painkillers. Over time, he became dependent on these medications to cope with his pain and to help him sleep. This dependence on prescription drugs would become a serious and dangerous problem for him later in his life. The constant stress and lack of privacy also had a major impact on his mental and emotional health. Michael often spoke about his loneliness. He was one of the most loved entertainers in the world, but he felt very isolated. He struggled with the loss of his childhood and the constant judgment from the media. He developed a severe case of insomnia, finding it almost impossible to sleep. This led him to seek out powerful sedatives like the anesthetic propofol. He was desperate for rest, desperate to escape the pressures of his life. His health problems, both physical and mental, were all connected in a tragic cycle. In the final years of his life, Michael was planning a major comeback. He was scheduled to perform a series of 50 concerts in London called This Is It. He was working incredibly hard, rehearsing for hours every day. He wanted to show the world that he was still the king of pop, but his health was failing. He was thin and weak. He was relying on a variety of prescription drugs to get him through the day and to help him sleep at night. Tragically, on June 25, 2009, just weeks before the concerts were set to begin, Michael Jackson died. The cause of death was an overdose of propofol and other sedatives. The world was shocked and heartbroken. When Michael Jackson died, there was a massive outpouring of grief from all over the world. People on every continent mourned his passing. It was a clear sign of how much he had meant to so many people. His music was played everywhere. Television stations showed his videos and concerts for days. For a moment, the controversies seemed to fade away. People remembered the joy he had brought into their lives. They remembered the incredible music, the magical dancing, and the spectacular shows. They remembered the young boy from the Jackson 5 and the global superstar who had created Thriller. His death reminded the world of his immense talent. Today, Michael Jackson's legacy is complex, but his importance in music history is undeniable. He is remembered as one of the greatest entertainers of all time. He broke down racial barriers, paving the way for countless artists who came after him. He revolutionized the music video, turning it into an art form. He changed the way pop concerts were produced, creating massive theatrical spectacles. His influence can be seen in the work of today's biggest stars, from Beyoncé to The Weeknd. They have all been inspired by his music, his dancing, and his showmanship. He set a standard for pop superstardom that still exists today. His albums, especially Thriller, remain benchmarks of artistic and commercial success. His songs are still loved by millions and continue to find new audiences. His signature dance moves, like the moonwalk, are still famous all over the world. He remains a towering figure in pop culture. The title King of Pop was not just a name, it was a reality. For several decades, he ruled the music world with his creativity and vision. He dedicated his entire life to his art, constantly pushing himself to create something new and exciting. This dedication is a central part of his enduring legacy. Ultimately, Michael Jackson is remembered for the magic he created. Despite the difficulties and controversies of his life, his art continues to shine brightly. He wanted to bring people together through his music, and he succeeded on a global scale. He made people want to dance, to sing, and to believe in the power of a song. He was a unique and brilliant artist whose work touched the lives of billions. While his personal story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of extreme fame, his artistic legacy is one of triumph. He was, and always will be, the one and only King of Pop.